Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central and another Omen by HP player interview, but we're here with the casters and analysts of the Overwatch League. We've got Mitch, Uber, Leslie, and of course Sideshow on the end. So we're going to be talking about the finals. Like, this has been a sort of long time coming, the Overwatch League, and now we're here in like the biggest game of Overwatch so far. You guys have been in it pretty much from the start. Like, you must be excited to see what's going to happen here.
Yeah, it's a culmination of not even just like what we've done in the Overwatch League so far, but all the stuff beforehand, right? Like all the months of like online tournaments and sort of not knowing where we'd sort of be in a couple of years from. So it's a hopefully there's a lot further to go, but it's definitely a culmination of all that effort. Yeah.
I think ever since like Brigitte's been in the game Sideshow, the meta has changed up quite a lot, quite naturally, because most of the time it's been this hero gets nerfed, okay, they get played less. But Brigitte was added in, so there's triple support at the start of like stage 4. They went to double snipers. They went to this whole like Roadhog as a support meta. Like, what do you kind of think of the state of the game right now? What are you seeing recently at the moment? And where do you sort of expect it to go for the finals, if anything?
I think this meta is pretty diverse because the addition of Brigitte has kind of offered a counter-comp to dive compositions, so you can't just run them all the time. We're seeing with the most recent patch as well that the double sniper is almost mandatory in a lot of situations with the Widowmaker and the Hanzo. And that's lent itself to this triple tank composition with the solo support where you have the Orisa, the Hog, and the Diva. So I think we'll see a lot of that both on offense and defense of a range of maps. But you can also play a lot of different compositions. This is the most diverse meta that we've had in Overwatch so far, if I think back over the ones we've had previously. And when you have a lot of different heroes that you're able to play on a lot of different points, you can also craft unique compositions more easily, like we've seen from the London Spitfire when they played the triple DPS composition on Oasis City Centre. And then we've also seen that kind of the Great Bamboozle that I think the LA Gladiators called it, which was like quite a niche strategy as well. So I like that I think we will see some of this kind of niche, what do you call it, cheese composition coming out for the finals, but in general we're going to just see a lot of default compositions with fast swaps between the two teams. You know, teams going from dive over to the solo support triple tank compositions to maybe the goat comp where you've got triple tank triple support. A lot of these things are very viable.
And I think that's the sort of main area, isn't it, really, that like anything could happen in these sort of situations. You have this real, almost like rock, paper, scissors, but like with dynamite and stuff in there with like mixed up rules.
Rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock.
Yeah. There we go. Perfect then, really, to sort of sum it up. But I guess the sort of main area is like, there's more changes on the PTR, there's more ways that the game is going to change up. There's like, it's interesting to see stuff like the snipers being countered by Roadhog because Roadhog can't really get one shot like Zen can, and there's not as much pressure on his shoulders. Sort of like, just real quick, with the stuff that's on the PTR, do you sort of see, if the finals was played on that kind of stuff, would you see less mercy? What do you think would happen to Surmise? Because I know a lot of people, the pros here, aren't really focusing on that right now because it's not played on that patch. But like for the future of Overwatch, what do you sort of see happening?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as the pros. I haven't been focusing on that because we've been kind of more focused on the Overwatch League because that's been the games that I'm paid to analyze. But when I look forward at that and see, for example, the Wrecking Ball, that seems like a pretty diverse, aggressive tank that you can play in like a dive composition to be able to break very tanky comps that you can just get right into the meat of it. So I think we swung away from dive a little bit and empowered some of the more tanky compositions, and perhaps Wrecking Ball will swing a little more towards being able to break some of them open as well. So some
literally swinging.
Yes, yeah. So some of the holds that we see, some of the Korean teams using as well, like Torb on Gibraltar A is starting to become meta in Korean contenders because they've devised some like real niche strategic holds. These kind of things where it's becoming very difficult to push first point defenses might break open a little.
Weak for McCree in general, but I'm looking forward to seeing more Ana. I would like to see Ana be able to nano boost herself like she does in Deathmatch. Give her another survival tool considering her mobility is sort of weaker, but I'm happy to see this tweak. I mean, right now, like Josh said, we're in a time where there are far more viable heroes than ever before, and hopefully we can stay on that trend. Yeah.
Just real quick, because I know that you've basically been casting Overwatch since there's been an Overwatch esports. You've seen some pretty interesting metas, like no hero limits. Kind of, what do you think back to, looking back? Exactly, what kind of like reaction do you sort of look back and go, was that even the same game that we were playing in? Like coin flip, all that stuff?
Have you seen Dragon Ball Z? Mm-hmm. I feel like when Piccolo takes off like his coat and stuff and is like friggin' like 50 kilograms and he drops it, it's like that's how I feel like casting now with like the observers and everything. Like I've been training with all these weights on and I've been able to cast them off. The game's changed so much. I kind of missed the early quad tank when teams were trying to figure it out. I thought it was really funny, and I did like the war of attrition and how like important hooks were in an era that halt wasn't. Like you couldn't halt each other out, right? So it was very different. But I'm happy with it the way it is now. We just get to see a bunch more different stuff. It's not easy having to cast the same thing every damn day when the meta is the same. You know this as well as I do. So it's even just for keeping it fresh and fun. I'm happy to see it.
One hero that we know that wasn't going to be in the final for a while is Symmetra. Do you think if Symmetra was in the finals that it would be a very different game? Or do you feel like players would look at it and kind of go, nah, we'll just play what we were playing already?
Depends how long it had been in there, right? Because the teams would need time to be able to craft strategies, but I do think that the new Symmetra opens up doors or portals for a lot of different strategies to happen. You like that one?
That's my thing.
Yeah.
Why are you taking my
yeah, might be. But yeah, I think it allows mobility for very tanky compositions because you can just teleport them to the high ground. And people have to completely think about or rethink how they've approached mobility in the past and how they think about defensible locations. It breaks all of your previous thinking.
It's insane. On Horizon first point, Dorado second point. There are a lot of teams that like have avoided utility for more damage, like New York, for example. Like they didn't like Drone Archon being on the Roadhog. They just wanted him to be on Zen for more damage. We'd see it'd be way different. I think it could fundamentally change the way that you approach defending on this game entirely.
And you just a whole different final. Hammond too, like just real quick, you sort of mentioned it before how we change it up. Do you think that that's going to be like a smidgen of a change, or do you think that that could be like Brigitte level change up the way that Overwatch is played?
I don't know. I think that's quite a difficult one. It depends what his numbers look like, honestly, because I think it's going to be played in a similar way to Winston, but with more damage output, perhaps, and I'm not 100% sure. Like he seems a little more tanky than Winston as well. So I think if his numbers are fairly good when he's first released, we'll see him have a really large impact and people will instantly pick him up and use him a lot. If his numbers are a little bit down, we might see something like Ana or Orisa where people don't pick him up for a while, but then they find a niche use for him and he's really powerful in that niche.
The first time we see it's going to be nuts. It will be niche to start with, but it makes heroes who lack mobility, like McCree, for example, just trash.
Yeah, so people have said similar things to Ana. When Ana came out, it was very much like, she's all right, but then she became a very meta spot. I think it's a wait and see, getting your hands around it. One more question. Both of you have come into Overwatch esports in very different ways. You've been casting since, you've been doing a lot of YouTube content especially to sort of get your name out there. If somebody's wanted to do what you guys are doing, what's the best way of approaching that?
I think you gotta really get out there, right? There's never been an easier way to propagate your content, even though there's a lot of other pieces of content floating around in that sea. Like you have to embrace the grind of it, because if you don't really enjoy what you're doing, like you just won't be able to get to the point where you've done enough work to survive. Don't take yourself too seriously. It just won't work for you.
Yeah, and there's loads of stuff like Broadcast GG is a perfect sort of example.
I mean, I love those guys. They're creating a community where broadcasters can meet up with other aspiring broadcasters and trade ideas and have chances to practice. Like if this stuff was around when I was just getting started casting, it wouldn't have taken so damn long for me to not be crap at it. So big love to them at broadcast.gg on Twitter. It's dot as in spelt out, DOT. They got a Discord. They're amazing people. I am a contributor there as well. I try and help out where I can. Love those guys. Yeah.
Casting South America and Chinese contenders now as well, English broadcast. And finally, I guess, when it comes to sort of coaching and analysing that kind of content, finding stuff that people want, you bringing out strategies, hey, this was really cool, getting to that position where you're now doing it on the main stage of the Overwatch League. How do you get there? What was your approach to that, I suppose?
It was just finding those strategies and breaking them down and making opinion pieces and stuff like that. And I did writing and wrote news pieces. There's two steps to do it. You have to create a lot of content and you have to be good at creating content. And so if you don't have one of those, if you create a ton of content but it's bad content, I don't think you'll get there. If you're really good but you don't create any content, how is anyone ever supposed to know? So you have to both be creating stuff and use that creative process to iterate on your own abilities. So you have to always be thinking, I'm not just creating the content to grind it out, I'm creating the content to actually make myself better to the point where I deserve this role. So that was the process that I was going through. Was with every piece of content I was trying to refine the thinking process behind it to make sure that I would actually benefit from it.
It's like if a bear makes a piece of content in the woods and no one's there to see it, does he really make it?
Any final thoughts that you want to shout out? Anything, your own sort of Twitters and Twitches and plugs?
Don't follow at Uber. They're fake news. Follow at Uber Shouts on Twitter. Just big shout out to all the fans that have been with us, old and new. this is very much a community-driven thing, fan-base-driven. Thanks for the encouragement that we've all received from you guys as a broadcast team throughout the season. It's just been incredible.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great. The final's going to be nuts.
I actually cannot wait. Thank you very much for watching. Big shout out again to HAMMOND by HP for helping support this video. Do check these guys out. Loads of stuff linked in the description below to find them. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you next time.